Here's what I hope to do today. I hope to convince you that aviation flying is a viable, and not only viable, but attractive career path for both men and women. In fact, it makes a great career path for women. And there are a lot of successful aviators who are female. You got a question?
Why women?
Well, women and men. And the reason is because it's a skill-based thing. But you're evaluated more on your skill, I think, in aviation than some other fields. So in 2019, I started a little club. The objective of that club was to help young people get into aviation and to support aviation in this county. We just finished a series of 3 classes for 9 to 13-year-old kids out at Lamson Field. Who's been to Lamson Field, our airport here in Lake County? You have. Pardon? In Lakeport, yeah. Yeah, you too? Okay. Just this January, we were able to get the first Lake County-based high school to start teaching an aviation program. So it's an actual class where you can learn about aviation. And the guy that's teaching it is a retired 747 pilot, really talented guy. He worked for UPS. He's also a flight instructor. He's got a simulator set up there. So it's a great opportunity to learn. Why think about getting into aviation? Well, the very first key thing is that it's a growing industry, unlike a lot of industries that are contracting. Artificial intelligence is going to change our world in the next 5 years in ways that we can't even imagine. So picking a career that is not going to be devastated by artificial intelligence is going to be important to you guys. Because otherwise you could get into a career, bam, and then be out of a job like that. Many roles in aviation are resistant, at least in the beginning, to artificial intelligence. So it sort of gives you a little bit of a leg up. You can travel. I make my living as an aerial photographer and as a ferry pilot, taking airplanes from A to B. And I've been able to travel all over the world thanks to my profession. So there's lots of ways to make a living as a pilot, but you don't have to be a pilot to be in the aviation industry. If you are making a living flying, there are a whole bunch of different ways you can do that. If you're an airline pilot, you could be flying commercial flights, domestic, international, regional. You could be hauling cargo. You can go into the military. All of the services have an aviation department. You can become a duster, which I admire dusters. It takes a special skill to be a duster. You can do emergency medical services like REACH out at Lamson Field. Anybody know REACH? Yeah. You can make a living as a flight instructor, as a corporate pilot, as a bush pilot, like a lot of people in Alaska do, and as a test pilot. Test pilots actually may take a new airplane that's just a prototype and fly it and see what it does. So often a test pilot will have an aeronautical engineering background. It'll be sort of an advanced kind of thing. It's a really cool profession because you're often sort of right at the envelope and you need to be on top of things to be a good test pilot. What kind of money can you make? Airline captain between $160,000 and $250,000. Who thinks that's a decent salary? Good, good. It's not bad, right? The other nice thing is once you're into that thing, in the beginning you may have to put in quite a few hours, but as you move up that ladder, you're only working a couple days a week, and you could actually start a second profession, as many of my colleagues have done. Some of them went into aerial photography while they were making this kind of money as an airline captain. Corporate pilot, that's basically you're flying for a company or an individual, a wealthy individual, taking them from A to B when they want to go there. Crop duster, flight instructor, Boeing is always looking at demand. There's going to be a need for 612,000 pilots globally in the next 20 years. That's a lot of people. You could be an air traffic controller, and there's not enough of those right now. They're in a tower, or they're doing the broader, flight level kind of controlling. And so you can see here what they do. It's an interesting career. It's demanding. You got to be sharp, and you got to be able to handle pressure. Okay, and then the other thing is you could go into aircraft management, which is basically business, kind of aviation business. And there's schools for all these different kinds of paths. You can be an airport manager, you could be a flight operator, you could be a dispatcher, any number of things you could do here. And then I should just mention there are a bunch of aviation opportunities that are emerging, like drone operators. I mean, I'm amazed at how many of those there are around here. And space tourism are all other opportunities. Anybody got a question? Yes?
Do you get paid for a flight, per flight or per year?
In the beginning, you may just be drawing a yearly salary. In the beginning, it's a little tougher,
Paid by the hour.
Yeah, but then, yeah. And a flight instructor, of course, is going to get paid by the hour. So it sort of depends on the kind of flying that you're doing. Yeah.
I have a question. So, if you're an international flyer or something, and you fly a plane to Spain or something,
yeah.
And do you immediately have another plane there to fly somewhere else, or is the plane that you flew there your plane?
Often you will get to stay in Spain for a day or two. Yeah.
What's the furthest you've ever been?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I took an airplane from New Jersey. This was a ferry flight down through Central America to Panama City. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, what?
Two of my aunts were in the Air Force.
Yeah.
They were the computer people.
Okay.
The stuff on the computer.
Yeah.
You can make money from that.
Absolutely you can. And a lot of different ways, right? Because all of aviation is computer intensive, right? So if you're into computers, aviation is a great field to specialize in. Well, listen, thank you everybody for showing up. If you got questions, grab one of my cards there and get in touch with me.